Bart with the Bicycle Rider, and we're on the Crank Brothers gravel wheel set. We're kind of doing a how-to series on how to set these up for different axle and skier configurations. And one of the things that you'll have to do is install the brake rotors. And this is a 6-bolt brake rotor system, and I really like 6-bolt brake rotor systems because they seem stiff, yet they're light. And we've bought some aftermarket brake rotors. They're 73 grams, so if you're sometimes worried about the weight of a heavy-duty rim, and really when you pick these rims up, and I think this rim set comes in at about 1,600 grams for the set. And that's not the lightest rim on the market, but it's fairly light, and the sturdiness of it is incredible. So really, if you just do a weight comparison, these rims compared to a stock rim are definitely light. And sometimes you can lighten them up by a stock rotor is going to weigh a little bit more than a nice aftermarket rotor. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at rim weights. It's also includes everything else that's going to be on the rim, and if you can lighten it up a little bit by getting a nice quality light rotor, that's the way to go. But really, these are a rotor that's going to fit right on the holes, and the bolts that come with most rotors have a thread locker on them, and these are brushed on. It's a blue thread locker. If you didn't have it, it's always good to use a little thread locker. You can buy it in a tube like this and squirt a little bit on, and they're different colors for different strengths of lock. I think the blue keeps the threads in there, but if you have to service the part, it still allows you to take it out without stripping something out. So thread locker is important when you're installing brake rotors, and having the right tool. If you don't have a Torx 25, which in our studio we didn't have a Torx 25, so luckily I had a Crank Brothers multi-tool that I've used for years, and it came with a Torx 25 on it. And while we're speaking of multi-tools, let me give you a little preview of what we're going to be previewing pretty quick. And that's the new F15 Crank Brothers multi-tool. And this one is, I think they say it in the advertisement, friggin' great. So just know that this is a really high quality tool. I'm excited to have it in my hands, and I can't wait to do a review on it. But this is a Crank Brothers tool that I've kept in my bag for years, and it has fixed a lot of things out on the trail, and today it's going to help us install these brand new brake rotors on these wheels. And you just have to be careful when you first start threading these in that you don't cross thread anything. So just be careful and take your time, and make sure that you start these by hand. And I've seen a lot of bicycle mechanics, use a small impact driver or something rather than to manually put these in. And I always like to make sure the threads are getting seated first before you start, putting any torque down, because if you strip out, a piece of aluminum, you can always retap it, or most times you can retap it. But why should you have to do that if you just take your time in the first place? Another real important thing with brake rotors is that they're torqued correctly. And these call for a 6.2 Newton meter torque. So even though this is not a torque wrench, I'm just going to snug them down. We're not actually going to be riding these rims today, so I'm just going to have to come back with a torque wrench and make sure that they're all torqued down to about 6.2. And we've got the new feedback sports torque wrench that we're going to be reviewing on the Bicycle Rider channel too, so that'll give me a good opportunity to put that to the test. But basically, I'm not going to tighten all these down in front of you, but when you do start getting into the blue thread locker, you're going to find a little resistance, which is normal. So don't think you're stripping something out. As long as you know that you've got a good start, the rest of it goes easy, and you will have to put just a little bit of pressure on your tool to get it past that blue thread locker. So that does feel normal in case you haven't experienced that before. But basically that's about the ease of putting on a disc rotor, and I've done so many of these, they're second nature. But let me just get to the basics, and a lot of times they are in a directional pattern, and most will have an arrow indicator. So, look for that as well, and make sure that you install this correctly where that arrow is going with a directional pattern. So this was maybe a little bit of an elementary video on brake rotors, but sometimes if you want to try to work on your bike yourself, and I get a certain satisfaction out of that, it's nice to know the step-by-step instructions, because you can put something on backwards or thread something wrong. But if you just take your time and be methodical, you don't have to bring everything to the bike shop to get fixed. So don't be scared to put on your own brake rotors. Just try to follow the directions, and make sure you do torque them before you ride your bike. So some of these torque wrenches now are very economical. It's not like the tools of yesterday where you had to spend several $100s for a torque wrench. I'm not going to even quote the price on that Feedback Sports torque wrench set, but we're talking about an under $20 tool. So anyway, this is how you put brake rotors on the Crank Brothers wheel set, and this will bleed into a lot of their other wheel sets as well. So put those brake rotors on yourself and ride. Thank you.